Hey guys, and welcome to episode 2 of the Curse of Crystal Cove. And I really hope that everybody enjoyed the first episode. I know it was all over the place, but I am a lot more organized this time. I think I just kind of needed to start somewhere sort of thing. So I really hope that everybody still enjoyed it anyways. Hoping that at least 2 people will come back for a second episode because that'd be cool. I have a lot more notes this round. And I think it's going to be a lot more smooth because I have 2 pages of notes for all of this. So yeah, honestly, I think I'm just going to jump right into it. So this week's episode is The Creeping Creatures. This one, there's a cold open. I guess I would consider it a cold open because you're not really getting any context to anything prior. So the cold opening I really like because this family is reoccurring, and I'm pretty sure it's supposed to look like Chevy Chase from Lampoon's Christmas Vacation and all of those fun movies that everybody loves. I'm pretty sure that's who it's supposed to be because it's the station wagon and everything too. So I thought that was super fun. So this family, they go into Gaithersburg, they drive in this car, and they're like, hey, this is definitely New York City. The dad is like, and then the mom and the kid are both like, I don't think so. Doesn't really look like New York City. So then he was like, well, I guess we're gonna need gas because it's 2,000 miles away. So they go to the gas station, and then I thought it was really funny that he just starts tapping on the gas pump with the credit card. So instead of, because he's just like, this is so old. I thought that was funny. Obviously, they encounter the gator people, and then they get ran off. And then it gets into our favorite people from Mystery Incorporated. And the kids are all bored at Fred's house. They're all just laying around. And then Daphne was reading magazines, and then she sees one, and Fred tries to keep it from her. And then she reads it, and she goes, Traps Illustrated. Freddie. So obviously, that's a nod to Sports Illustrated, and I thought that was super funny, and I'm pretty sure that is a reoccurring thing as well. I think that Traps Illustrated comes back in future episodes, but I thought that was fun. But then they get a box from Mr. E, and there's a letter, and he said something about saving this one for a rainy day because it was a rainy day, and they get this purse, and it's a alligator purse, and it says it's from Gators, made in Gaithersburg, and they're like, whoa, that's 3 miles away, that's so crazy, we should probably check it out. And then but Shaggy, I think, is like, I've never heard of Gaithersburg, what the heck? And then Velma's talking about the gator mines, and or the way that the town was founded is that gators, they realized, turn a lot more profit than gold. So that's why it's Gaithersburg. But so while she's explaining this flashback about the miners and all these, the origin story of Gaithersburg, it's a different kind of animation style. So it's kind of the way that I made my intro is so it's one solid background, and then you just kind of move the different character pieces in and out, and then add audio. So I thought that was really cool. I love it when any kind of show either changes up their animation style for an episode, which Mystery Incorporated does. I think that's not until season 2 though, but still, really awesome. I love it when they do any kind of different animation style, because I feel that's gotta be fun for the animators, especially if you get assigned that certain section. But yeah, so eventually they're like, hey, let's go, we're bored. So they go to Gaithersburg, and immediately Fred is like, alright, split up and look for clues, because they're like, we have no idea what we're here looking for. And Shaggy is still trying to hide Velma from Scooby. So Velma is like, we should go look for clues together. And then Shaggy's like, haha, let's go to the diner because I'm hungry. So Velma goes to talk to Shaggy and is like, hey, we need to talk. And he's like, haha, funny joke. And he makes his joke about him being hungry and da-da-da. So clearly Shaggy is emotionally unavailable. And I know that's a lot deeper. Honestly, I really don't think that's that much deeper than what the writers intended, because this is obviously a more serious show with a lot more darker kind of tones to it. So I think that that's definitely what they were going for. So obviously as a kid, I was not picking that up, but it's fun to rewatch it and be like, oh wow, yeah, that's definitely what the writers were like, because I feel like that definitely captures any teen boy. And I did look it up, and it said that they're supposed to be like 16, 17 in this season, and then in season 2 they're 17, 18. So that's cool. So then Shaggy realizes, okay, Velma's like obviously upset about this, that he's like not responding. So he like tries to go after her, and he's like, so me not doing anything is the thing that you're mad at? Which, like, now in my brain that makes so much sense, because like in a relationship, if you're not doing anything, then that's an issue. But like, he doesn't get that because he's teen boy. They were about to like go get back into the mystery machine, and then they're like, what the heck, there's something wrong with it. So then Fred gets out and opens up the hood, and then Daphne's like, do you see what's wrong? And then Fred just goes, you see that hole there? That should be an engine. So obviously, like, engine's stolen, whatever, engine's gone. And then the mechanic comes in, and obviously he's all spooky. And this is the first character of Gatorsburg, or I guess like new character that you're introduced to. And I can't remember if Gary Gator. There's Gary, Grenda, and there's another G name, and I cannot think of it right now. Anyways, he's the big mechanic man, and then they're like, hey, can you take a look at our van? And he's like, why would I do that? And Velma's like, because you're a mechanic. And he was like, all right, you got me there. So he looks, and he just goes, here's your problem, the engine's missing. Cool. So he said he needs to order a new one from Crystal Cove, and he said, that's over 3 miles away, so it's probably going to take until morning. So again, I just love the writing of this show. It's just all these funny little jokes. I think they're just awesome. So all the kids call their parents and say, hey, the van's broken down, can you come pick us up? It's 3 miles away. And each parent has a different excuse. Velma's mom is like, it's horse night. Again, all of these like dumb parents just having like stupid reasoning. Horse racing night, not horse night. I don't want to know. Anyways. So she's like, I can't do that. Like, I'm going to miss the race. And then Velma's like, okay. So then Fred calls his dad, and he said, Fred, my recliner is already in the recline position. There is no going back. So he obviously doesn't come. And then Daphne calls her mom, and she says, oh, it's dark outside. I can't go out. And like, honestly, that is so valid of her. Especially for me, because it's hard to see at night. So driving at night is very rough. And then Shaggy calls his parents, and they don't pick up, and then it just goes to like a picture of his mom painting his dad. Well, I guess it was just grapes, but it was painting his dad in a toga holding grapes. But then Shaggy goes, ugh, duh, it's still life night. So then the mechanic says, hey, my sister runs the best hotel in town, the only hotel in town, but don't leave your rooms. And they're like, okay. And then I realized, as I was watching this, when they get to the hotel and she's taking them to their rooms, there's a lot of iconic paintings. So, but with gators in them. I literally always forget what it's called, but it's the painting. I will put it on the screen for YouTube, but it's the painting of the farmer couple, like the guy holding the pitchfork and then like that, but it's 2 gators, and then the other one was the stereotypical paintings that for some reason a lot of American people have is a bunch of dogs playing poker, but this one was gators. So again, just a cute little detail that I really liked. So then Greta, the owner, she says, I do have some stipulations, so boys and girls cannot share rooms. So everybody, goes to their separate rooms, and then she's like, no dogs. And obviously, like, what the hell? That's so rude. That's so rude. He can walk inside and just kind of walk around, but he's not allowed to stay inside? Are you for real? That's rude. I just thought it was really cute, but Shaggy was like, I'll see you in the morning, Scoob. It's just one night. And then Scooby just goes, I hope so. My heart. The poor guy. Oh, bad thing. There's been so many different episodes and movies where Scooby has to be out in the van by himself because he's a dog, and it just makes me really sad. It's just bad things always happen, obviously, but like, give my boy a room to sleep in, you know? A little bit of time skips. Shaggy and Fred are in one room, Daphne and Velma are in another, and then Fred is talking about how he says, when we graduate and move in together, like, I just thought it was really funny is that he just, because I feel like that's how a lot of teenagers think, is that, like, you know, when you graduate, like, you know, I'm gonna have all of the same friends from high school and we're gonna be best friends and forever. And it's just like, it's so not realistic. Like, I have like 3 friends, maybe, that I still talk to from high school, and I graduated 5 years ago. You know, it's like, a lot of things change, but I just thought it's just, again, fitting for, it doesn't feel like 50-year-old man writing for teenager, you know, which I feel like is a very common thing in shows. Nowadays, it just, all of the teenagers just feel so forced, especially if it's present day, so like them having modern lingo and saying like hella and like verbally saying LOL and not being ironic about it it's ugh. But again, another credit to the writers. I love the writers. I love that Fred is talking about, oh, you know, we could get bunk beds, you know, we'd be like super comfy, but Shaggy's just like, I'm really worried about Scooby. So then he's like, I have to go check on him. So simultaneously, Velma is like doing her makeup and doing stuff in their room, and she's like, I forgot something. And Daphne's like, So Velma's just like, yeah, I forgot. Haha. So she goes out, and then obviously her and Shaggy like run into each other, and Shaggy was just like blatantly lies about like him, like where he was going, because Velma was like, are you going to see me? And Shaggy was like, yeah, like that's definitely what I was doing, actually. When obviously in reality he was going to see just if Scooby was okay. So then it skips, and Daphne's like, I'm looking for Velma, and like gets into like Freddy and Shaggy's room, and Fred is like, oh my gosh, I've been wanting to show you this, like, you know, it's just a little like memory of our time together. And he gets out this book, and Daphne's like, oh my god, like this is so sweet. So that was awkward. My camera died, so the last thing I was talking about was the scrapbook. Fred pulls out the scrapbook, they're looking through it, and Daphne's like, oh my god, and she opens it, and it's just like a bunch of traps. She's like, Freddy. And he's like, oh, we use this one at this time, and we use this one to then. So we love that. I just love how clueless Freddy is. But I have a little tidbit about that I found out last night, which I thought was kind of cool. Also, I apologize. I'm sure I look like a lot more messy because while my battery was charging, I realized I didn't bring my extra ones home from work. So while that was charging, I was like, you know what? I have time. I'm gonna like do a quick workout. So that's what I did. So I'm a little bit of a mess. Anyways, so it goes from Freddy and Daphne, and then it goes to Scooby in the van, and he's all sad, and he's like, oh my god. And then the gators come, and they're like chasing him around. Poor little guy. He's just so spooked all by himself. And then there's a chase scene, not of like a full-fledged one, but obviously like, you know, Scooby's getting chased. And I don't know why this particular scene stuck out to me, but it was like, I guess that the sound effects were a lot more noticeable, but I just think it's so awesome that pretty much in every Scooby-Doo rendition, they keep the goofy Hanna-Barbera sound effects. Just how, you know, over the top they are, because it's like, obviously, you know, when somebody is running, like, they don't make those sounds, and I just think it's awesome. It's just so stylistic, and I love that. So Scooby runs into the house and he goes into Freddy's room where Daphne is, and he's explaining to them, he's like, oh my god, there's gator people, what the heck? And then the gators come in, they get chased, and they're freaking out, and Freddy is holding Daphne. He like pulled her away from the gators, and then he's like, my scrapbook, and then she's like, Freddy, just again, just like another, he's just like not aware. Then it goes from that chase scene, and then it juxtaposes when Shaggy is like all scared too, and you're like, oh my god, is there another gator? And then you're like, no, Velma's trying to kiss him, and he's like really scared. I really love that because clearly Shaggy is just not ready for a relationship and to be emotionally available, even physically available. But then Scooby comes in and he's like, oh my god, I'm so glad you're okay, da 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 da. And then the group chase scene starts, and that's when, you know, they do the whole cool like montage with all the fun music, which we love. One of the best parts of every episode in any rendition. But I also thought it was just kind of funny. There's this one part where one of their gloves falls off, and then the one just like eats the glove. He just tears it up with his teeth and just eats it. And I was like, whoa. Yeah, it can't taste good, right? You know? So it's like, I get it. Maybe he was just like trying to still put on that persona of them being gators, but it's also like, you just ate a glove. Gators chase them out of the house. They get into the mystery machine and they're like, what? There's still no engine. What are we going to do? So Fred's like, we're going to push it. So Scooby hops in. Everybody else pushes it. And it's really funny because Scooby like adjusts the rear view. So like clearly he's driven before. And I love that. So they push it. They get out of town. And then the gators like leave them. And they're like, what the heck? They just wanted us out of town. So Freddy is like, obviously we got to go back. And so they go back to see these gator people loading these boats at the docks. And they're like, okay, well, what gator people are loading crates? And then they open up one of the crates, and then they see it's got those like purses, that purse that they got from the beginning of the episode, and then a belt. And Daphne says that she's allergic to imitation animal skin. So then she like slaps the belt, and then she's like, you know, like she's covered in hives. So they find out it's fake. Which, you know, that's a fun little, like, quick and easy way to just be like, okay, yeah, it's fake. Because why would somebody just, like, randomly be a expert on, like, whether or not this is real or not? So obviously, you know, they come up with a plan to set the traps and everything. And I thought it was really funny because Shaggy is like, you crocodiles? And then they just get really irrationally upset. And they're like, who are you calling a crocodile? So it's like, even though they're people, they just get really upset. Maybe if your last name is Gator, that's like a really not cool term to call somebody a crocodile. I don't know. So they had this trap. I'm going to put it on screen, but I'm going to try and describe it in detail as best I can. But they have this trap where they use the belt. So they made like a little loop. So it's kind of like the shape of like a lasso. So it's got a loop. And I know lassos don't have knots, but you know, when I was a kid, that's how I would make them because I was stupid. So there'd be a little loop, and then there like more belts connecting it to like above. And I was just thinking, like, what do you think somebody would ever actually like fall for something like that? Because if I saw a suspiciously shaped rope on the ground in that shape, I would avoid it. I would not step in it. And I get it. Maybe they're like trying to push it off as like, this is like a quick thing, like these people are just gonna get caught off guard. They're not paying attention to the ground like that. But if I'm running, I'm gonna pay attention to the ground, you know? I feel like I'm channeling my inner Brittany Broski recently. I've been watching a lot of her podcast, so I kind of feel like I've been giving those vibes off today for some reason. Anyways, but yeah, so I don't know. In my brain, I don't, like, that wouldn't work, especially like, okay, maybe it would happen to one person, but not three, you know? So whatever. Trap works. And then, shocker, it's all the new characters that we were introduced to that look like gators. I mean, obviously, like, you know, that was super obvious. That's not what they're really going for in, like, these early episodes. They're not trying to be like, who the heck was it? I do like I didn't mention this in the first episode, but I do like when they are doing flashbacks explaining, oh, this is how they did this is why they did this, that it goes into, so same animation style, but it's like a different color, so you can tell that it's like a flashback. And I really like that because I think that's one of the big things that the original series didn't have a big enough budget for. So when they were explaining, oh, this person did this, like they just had to say it. Like they didn't have a big enough budget to like go back and animate it. So I really like that for this rendition. I know I say rendition a lot. Maybe I need to get a better, this series, maybe I gotta try to mix it up. I gotta look up the source. Anyways. Oh, so then Sheriff shows up and he's like, what the heck? All this stuff is fake. I spent a fortune on this tracksuit. And they're like, sorry, Sheriff. So again, I love Sheriff Bronson. Funny little guy. He's just always silly. Gives me a good laugh. Oh, and then the sheriff is just like, arrest them, even though I have no jurisdiction here. And then they're all just like okay with it. Like nobody fights it. And it's just, they're just vibing, I guess, you know. He starts to drive away and they're like, wait, can you give us a ride? And then I was also thinking, like, I don't remember seeing another cop car in the background, so where are they gonna take if he's driving away, and I know his little, like, one of the other cops is there arresting them, so where's he gonna put them? They go back to the mystery machine, and then they, like, open up the hood, and then the engine's back there, and then there's a note for Mr. E! So he says something like, this is only one piece of the puzzle, you know, there's a lot more to come, and everybody's like, what the heck, what does that mean? I don't want to find out. And Shaggy was like, but I guess we're going to. And then Scooby jumps into Shaggy's arms, and I can't remember why. I don't remember why they got spooked. But Scooby jumps into Shaggy's arms, and then Shaggy grabs Velma's hand, and it's just like a cool little character development that he's slowly warming up to. You know, he wants to be with Velma. He really does care about her, but he's just really not good at showing it, sort of thing, and he's just scared because Scooby means a lot to him. So I really like that. Even though I'm not like a huge fan of like Shaggy and Velma getting together, it's not like my least favorite. Like there's definitely worse things that the Scooby-Doo franchise has done. It was good that they explored it because I think a lot of people were wondering that over the years. Anyways, episode ends. That's the end of episode 2. What is it called? Beware the creeping creatures. That's the end of episode 2, the creeping creatures. And then I wanted to do a little Scooby snack for you guys. Because, so you know, like I do know a lot of random trivia about Scooby-Doo, but most of that's from the original franchise. And a lot of the earlier ones, like not necessarily any from when I was alive. But I looked up specifically Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated trivia because I was like, you know, I don't know if there's like any that's super specific. And I do know a couple, but I want to wait till we get to there. Because again, I don't want to like leave any spoilers necessarily, but when certain characters are introduced, that's when I will talk about it. I thought this was a really fun fact to share because I didn't know it, and I thought it was really cool of the writers. So this is one of the writers, and I'm pretty sure he's also a creator. His name is Mitch Watson, and it said that this was in an interview in like 2020, 2022, I can't remember. Mitch Watson said that Fred was written with him having autism in mind. So I thought that was super cool that they were thinking about that back in 2010, you know? Because they said his obsession with traps and his inability to read human emotions properly, and that just makes a lot of sense. But he said that they never like disclosed it. There's a lot of things that they never fully disclosed in the show, but there's a lot of things that they have made canon, I guess, outside of the show, which is super awesome, honestly. I know I have also probably said that a lot, but it is genuinely super awesome, the different steps that they decided to take for this show, and I'm really glad that they did, even though it didn't get a 3rd season, which was really sad. I'm glad that they did get the 2. Yeah, I think that's probably about it for this. I did change up my shelf. I cleaned. I got rid of some stuff. You probably can't see him super well above me, but I got a couple Scooby-Doos. And just kidding, you can't see those either. I did some Lego flowers the other day, put them in one of my vases. Maybe one day I'll do a little mini bonus episode or something and go explain some different things on my shelf, like my little teacup that I have, and you know. But anyways, I hope you have a good night, day, afternoon, whenever you're watching this, and I'll see y'all in the next episode.